The National Trust is famous for its stunning properties, but its gardens and its landscapes are equally spectacular. I'm Jane Moore, and in this new series with the National Trust's official partner, STIHL, I'll be going behind the scenes to see just what it takes to maintain and manage these amazing spaces. Today, I'm here at Sissinghurst Castle Garden, where we'll be looking at the ancient art of coppicing, an innovative new training scheme, training the head gardeners of tomorrow, and lots of spring flowers. But first, let's go and meet the head gardener, Troy. Hi Troy, great to see you.
Hi Jane, welcome to Sissinghurst.
It's lovely to be back again.
And a lovely day.
A beautiful day. But do remind me about Sissinghurst's wonderful story, how it came to be.
Yes, well, Harold and Vita, Vita the poet and Harold the diplomat, they came here in 1930. They found a ruin, and together they felt they could make something very special from what was already here.
And they certainly did, didn't they? I mean, the garden is just amazing.
It is. It's a collaboration. It's a result of their creative tension. You know, Harold was very much the designer, laying out the bones of the garden, the strong vistas.
All those wonderful hedges and lines.
And that's so important to this kind of garden. A garden that at its heart is a romantic, immersive, emotional experience.
Yeah, and that's why I think there's such a lot for ordinary gardeners to take away from this garden, isn't there? Because you can transpose some of these elements into your own garden quite easily.
You can very much. I think that's why it has inspired generations and continues to do so.
And this garden especially, I think, is probably inspiring people at the moment, isn't it? This garden, I do not remember much from previous visits,
Yes.
but you've been doing such a lot of work on it.
We have. We planted this just in 2020, and it's a Greek island, it's Delos. And Harold and Vita travelled to Delos in, I think, 1934, and they returned to Sissinghurst, wanting to recreate here something of what they'd seen there.
It feels so different to the rest of the garden.
But it's so relevant today, again, what you were saying about inspiring people. It's a garden now that does speak of climate change, of water-wise gardening. And so it's very relevant.
Absolutely, it's absolutely of the moment, isn't it? When they first came, was there actually anything of a garden here?
Well, there obviously had been dwellings, but there wasn't much of a garden in that sense. But there were a few elements here. There was a later Victorian orchard, and also to the side of that orchard, this nuttery that really, I think, spoke to Harold and Vita. In fact, Harold said, "We suddenly stumbled across this nut plat, and that settles it." So it was this thing that they found here, this thing that connected Sissinghurst to the past. Let me go and show you.
This is such a restful part of the garden, I always think.
It's a lovely part. In fact, it's many visitors' favourite part of the whole of Sissinghurst as well.
I think probably mine too.
And Harold and Vita's. So it's one of the first areas that they planted. So when they found this nuttery, this was the nuttery that they found when they viewed the property in 1930. They went to the woodlands here and they brought back primroses and foxgloves, and this is where they first gardened at Sissinghurst.
Right, so this is why it has this lovely natural sort of restful feel about it, but all with this upper story. And coppicing is such an ancient art, isn't it?
It is, and particularly I think for this area, Kent and Sussex, a lot of trees, a lot of woodland here, oak woodland, and that woodland understory is typically chestnut and hazel coppice. Coppice for production of timber, for materials, for fences.
Yeah.
And then here as well, we do coppice differently, because coppicing is essentially cutting down to ground level to a stool.
Yeah. So you get these young thin stems
and you just do it, you know, the whole piece. But here in the nuttery, in the garden, it's more of an aesthetic that we're going for. We actually want a range of different ages of stems. So we have some old, some medium, middle-aged, and then some really young ones that are...
Gives you this lovely overarching
It's
feel,
that canopy, that sort of pools of dappled shade, dappled light are really stunning. When they start to come into leaf, April into May, and the understory of these spring bulbs are coming up. It's an incredible place to be.
Absolutely lovely.
I mean, all of this material from this coppicing we'll be using to make sweet pea supports, rose benders, peony supports. And I think Molly, one of my colleagues, the scholar, will be doing some of that today, so I can go and introduce you to Molly and she can show you what we're doing.
That would be great. It would be great to meet Molly too and hear about the scholarship programme.
Brilliant.
Hi, Molly.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I love these structures that you're making.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're for our peonies. They take a wee bit of practice. There's definitely a knack to it, but getting there with them.
Yeah, they look absolutely great.
Thank you.
You'll have to show me the knack sometime. But I really wanted to talk to you about the scholarship programme that you're on, because this is a really innovative scheme, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. So I've been the growing scholar here, just finished, which is like a year-long scholarship, and it's split between propagation and veg growing. And now I've managed to stay on for another 2 months and to get a bit of experience in the main garden as well, which has been incredible.
And what's the idea, what's the purpose of the scholarship?
So for me, it really acted as kind of a bridge between a level 2 and just kind of improving the standards of the work that I'm doing, so that I feel comfortable and ready to go into like a historic garden and take that on. And what's amazing about it is that everyone you're learning from is so passionate and so expert, so it's just a really great way to get in. Yeah,
you're getting that real hands-on experience, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I can imagine that it does wonders for your confidence. I'd have loved to do something like that after college myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
So I'm going into a gardener job at another trust property, so Chartwell.
Oh, lovely.
Which is great and has a bit of veg in the walled garden, and they do their own propagation as well. So I get to really put into practice everything I've learned, which is exciting.
Yeah, fantastic. And these structures are not the only structures in this garden, are they?
No, I think the structure in the garden is really obvious this time of year with all the box hedges getting clipped, and especially we've got some topiary going in as well, getting cut today. So it really, you can really see the design and the structure when you look at those aspects of the garden.
I'd love to see some of the topiary being cut into shape.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've got Charlotte Molesworth in to help with it. She's a fantastic source of knowledge and inspiration when it comes to topiary, so it's really exciting.
Oh, well, I'll have to go and find her, but I'd better let you get back to finishing these before the peonies get too big.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you, Molly.
Nice to speak to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hello, Jane.
Lovely to meet you.
And you too, yes.
So I gather you're creating some topiaries. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Troy's idea just to introduce something slightly outside of the garden.
Yes.
So when people were being nosy, as everybody wants to be, when you look through, I think, oh wow, it goes on, there's topiary and
there's more and more and more, yes.
And he brought these very lovely, very nice, healthy, young plants, which have never been clipped or trained.
Yes, which is perfect for a starting ground, isn't it? But do they tell you what they want to be?
They have to really. I mean, unless you actually were Hampton Court and they all had to be identical, then you would have chosen ones of lovely, strong leaders. Whereas this one is a sort of octopus, really. It's got multiple trunks. So as it's outside of a rose garden, I thought it has to be Alice in Wonderland's rose bush in topiary.
Right.
So we've got to open it up, thin it out. It's rather terrible sort of sacrilege, really, in this beautiful plant, but it's going to end up very naked and skeletal with sort of like tennis ball blobs. Some will be football size. It'll be sort of like a cloud pruning.
Like cloud pruning. Lovely. And you're stretching out and trying to get the shape using these canes to just open it up even more.
We didn't want it to be everything sort of vertical, so we've pulled out the big chaps. I wanted height at the back and probably low towards the front. But so everything is uneven, everything is asymmetrical.
Yes, it's going to look amazing. I can't wait to see it finished.
I know, you have to come back.
I'd better let you get back to your snipping. I've got some more cutting to go and see in the orchard. I think Richard is starting to mow paths and things through it, so I want to go and have a look at that.
Sign of spring, the mowing, that smell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
Meet you too.
Hi, Richard.
Hiya.
Great to meet you.
And you.
And lovely to meet you in this particular part of the garden, which is one of my favourites, and I think yours as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about managing this sort of meadow area underneath the orchard?
Yeah, so about this time with the bulbs up, grass is allowed to grow long now. The bulbs then disappear under the long grass and that gives way to other wildflower species.
What sort of thing comes through after the bulbs are finished?
So the loveliest thing that starts is the green-winged orchids in here.
Gosh,
it's really lovely.
beautiful.
That's followed by things like Cardamom pratensis, the cooking flower.
Yes, which I love.
Sowed more of that this year and hope that spreads with how wet our meadow is.
Yeah, so is that one of the things that you tend to do, is that you sow the same species, you collect seeds and sow it back in?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and try to find seed elsewhere and keep adding more complexity into the sward.
Yes, because I imagine that this is a very ancient grassland. It's probably never been ploughed in its life, has it?
No, there's lovely old images of Vita and Harold's time here with farm workers collecting hay from in here and taking it out in a cart.
And I guess you're still carrying on that tradition. You probably
Absolutely.
make hay here still.
Yeah, well, the lovely thing as well is we can't get big machines in here, so it's with old hay forks. We lay hessian sheets out and throw the hay onto the sheets and then cart it out.
Yeah, that's one of the wonderful things about being a gardener, I think, isn't it? That sense of tradition just carrying on, through the decades and indeed the centuries.
Absolutely.
And nothing much really changes, does it?
No, no.
But talking of which, the grass does keep growing, so I think I better let you get back to
All
it.
right.
Nice
Thanks
to
so
meet
much.
you. Thank you so much for joining me here at Sissinghurst on a glorious spring day. I hope you've enjoyed the visit as much as I have. For more ideas and tips from lovely National Trust gardens, please do subscribe to the STIHL GB YouTube channel. See you next time.